When Chris Smith traveled through the multiverse into a perfect dimension, he kills the Chris Smith of that universe, goes out on a date with a girlfriend, and stops a terrorist attack. But when he decides to return to his universe, he doesn't realize the government agents have sent a full squad to stop him. Peacemaker wakes up in the perfect universe after getting drunk, and he sees his brother Keith. He gets startled, and Keith asks him where he's been. Peacemaker realizes he's been missing in this universe since he killed the original. He answers Keith's question, and so since he can't recognize anything different in his brother, Keith goes to prepare them some breakfast. Chris begins feeling guilty and checks the messages from Emilia. She asks him to meet up with her in the afternoon, and Chris notices it's almost time. He hurried up and went to his closet. Seeing some fresh clothes, Chris is impressed. He finds pills, but ignored it and dressed fully. Afterwards, he goes to meet with Keith and tells him he's heading out. He makes a joke about his clothes and the Kardashians, but thankfully, they don't exist in this universe.
Who are the Kardashians? Seriously?
He goes out, but realizes he doesn't know where to find Emilia, and he comes back to Keith. Trying not to act suspicious, he plays it off as a quiz, asking Keith about Emilia's work. Chris gets the answer he needs and goes to the garage to see his sweet motorcycle for himself. Wasting no time, he geared up and starts heading for Argus. While riding in the streets, lots of fans are cheering for Peacemakers. Compared to being treated like shit, he starts liking his new life. Peacemaker arrived at Argus, and the scene changes to the original universe. Adebayo, Emilia, and Adrian, all friends of Chris, are hungover from their party last night. Adebayo points out Chris left them early last night and asks Emilia if something happened between them. She brushed it off as nothing, but that's when Adrian interrupts their conversation. He misses the whole point of the conversation and starts talking about things Chris has taught him to embrace, like how he loves Spider and some facts about Crow.
Paperclip, straighten it out, and then if another crow is being a dick, he can stab him to death with it.
Crows do that?
Emilia gets him to shut up by telling him there's a chance Economos is dead in the bathroom. He quickly rushes over to check, but Economos is perfectly fine, and Adrian starts telling him about spiders. Back to Argus, Peacemaker goes to the secretary there and asks to see Emilia. The man is a fan of his, and he asks Peacemaker how his test went. Peacemaker lies it went positive, but he doesn't know it was a cancer test. He does a security check and goes to find Emilia. He goes deeper into Argus, and Emilia signals to him, but he gets stopped by Rick Flag Jr., and this triggers him. In his universe, Peacemaker killed Rick Flag Jr., and so he can't react properly. Emilia comes to break the tension between them. She tells Rick to leave them alone, since it's personal, and she just wants to talk. Peacemaker is still acting formal with Emilia, calling her by her last name, and so she tries to make him more relaxed by hugging him. Rick Flag is watching them, so when Emilia notices this, she apologizes, saying he wasn't supposed to have come today. To get some privacy, she suggests they go out for a walk. That's when Rick makes a mess, trying to keep up. They both get into the elevator, and Emilia tells Chris she's glad he came. They're getting along well in this universe, and the scene changes to the other Emilia. Adebayo is still trying to figure out what happened to Emilia and Chris on the party boat. But since Emilia isn't willing to let the truth out, she says it's nothing, and it's best Adebayo forgets about it. Emilia doesn't want to admit Chris loves her. She thinks because he has an eagle and wears an outfit, then he isn't a good pick. But Adebayo defends him and reminds Emilia that she isn't perfect herself, and she's probably even more fucked up. Emilia understands the joke Adebayo is trying to make, but she honestly tells her Chris, and she will never be a thing. Meanwhile, Adrian and Economos are still talking about spiders, when suddenly Economos receives a call from Argus. Bordeaux is pissed Economos didn't tell her Chris had a superpowered duck. She said the duck took down 4 agents, and 1 is in the ICU. She tells Economos to get over here, and Fleury denies that he never knew it was an eagle. Economos quickly heads out to meet with Bordeaux, and after he arrives, she asks if she tipped off Chris. She still doesn't believe it was a regular eagle, and Economos is more annoyed they didn't tell him before carrying the plan out. Bordeaux tells him none of this matters, and after the incident in Metropolis, she's more concerned with Chris's dimensional portal. Now that they have an eagle hunter to handle Eagly, she says they're going to Chris' house with a full agent squad. Economos tries to disagree, but she threatens to fire him to keep him quiet. And just then, they approach the bus to show Economos' new partner. Meanwhile, in the perfect dimension, Chris and Emilia are out for a walk. That's when Emilia suggests they go get some hot dogs. Emilia jokingly messes up Chris's hot dog, but since they're having a good time, it doesn't matter. Their time spent come to an end, and Emilia points out why they wanted to meet up. Chris tells her he just wanted to see what was happening, and he also asks about Rick Flag. She says there's nothing between them, and Peacemaker tells her he's changed a lot. She agrees, saying he seems less arrogant. Chris tells her he's been working on that, and especially pushing people away. Emilia agrees he really is different, and when she brings up their last night text, she tells him she doesn't want her heart to be broken by him again, and that he really hurt her. She's willingly to give him another chance, if Chris really decides to change his bad behaviors. They're starting to make up, when a terrorist explodes in front of them. The rest of the gang goes into a building and holds everyone hostage. Emilia or Chris are still shocked from the explosion, and when the smoke finally settles, she realizes the Liberty Sons are behind it again. That's when they go to check it out and finds a man holding a woman hostage. He threatens to kill her if they get close, and some men get ready to set up explosives. Emilia goes to talk with the cops, but Chris figures out a plan pretty quickly. He rushes into a building and asks to use the man's roof. Afterwards, he quickly goes up the ladder, and while Emilia is watching from below, he smashes into the building. The terrorist notices it and sends a man to go up and check. But as it gets close, Chris attacks him and ends him brutally. He sneaks up on the other man, and they begin to struggle with a knife. He obviously kills the man brutally, but when his friend notices the comms aren't working, he sends another person again. But since there's nothing wrong, he wants to head back. This time Peacemaker is prepared, and he shoves the man into the wall, alerting the others. A backup comes to stop him, but Peacemaker kills that one as well. He quickly hears some men approaching and takes some pencils for defense. He enters a different room and sights a ceiling bar he can use. The last man goes into the room looking to kill Peacemaker, but Chris brutally stabs him with pencils and takes his gun away. A helicopter comes to pick them up, but Chris immediately guns down every remaining terrorist. He quickly goes into the room, but there's only a few seconds left before the bombs explode. He quickly manages to unplug all the wires and stop the explosion. Keith shows up and handles the helicopter, while Peacemaker successfully gets everyone safely outside. Keith comes to congratulate Chris for saving the people, and after seeing his fans and Emilia, Peacemaker has no doubts this is best dimension. The day is about to end, and Peacemaker gets a message from Emilia. He replies to her and makes up an excuse since he's about to return to his universe. That's when Keith interrupts him, handing him a drink. Although everything is fine, Keith is worried that Peacemaker may have started doing the pills again, and that's why he's been disappearing. But Chris reassures him he isn't into them anymore, and has just been seeing someone. Chris tells Keith he loves him, since he's never really said that to his own brother before. He gets ready to leave this universe, but what he doesn't know is that multiple Argus agents are on their way to his house. Just as Peacemaker makes his way through the multiverse, the Argus agents get their guns ready to barge in and arrest him forever. They close in on his house, and the moment Chris finally comes back home, the episode comes to an end.